Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
All of our guests today, including Craig Button. Throw that headset on there, Ricky. All of our guests today, sponsored by Basant Motors. Get a gift with every financed vehicle this holiday season. Like 6 months of gas. No payments until the summer, or a gift card up to $1,000. Get all the info at basantmotors.com. Just before we get to Craig, Delaney's OK Tire and Langley inbox, unsigned. Rick, we watch sports, kids game. We are all kids when it comes to sports. It's not the winner's fault, right?
I agree.
The kid in us, we all want autographs. We all want the poster on the wall.
No, but it's a phase. We got out of that phase, though, Donnie.
I don't think so. I was never a big souvenir or memorabilia guy, but I get it. I've got some stuff.
And we're in the media. You remember when Michael Jordan came? We didn't ask for his autograph. We went out there in Richmond on number 6 Road there by the movie theaters where the Grizzlies used to practice.
What were you doing there, Rick?
Listen.
For work, though.
Yeah, for work. We went out there. We interviewed Pippen, Jordan. Who's the other guy? Rodman. We never asked for autographs.
Craig Button standing by as we go through the entire Bulls roster.
It was a great time.
Joined now by TSN Scouting Director Craig Button. How are you, sir?
I'm really good. How are you?
Very, very well. Very well. Well, what do the Canucks have as we get right into the Vancouver Hockey Club here, Craig? What do they have in Dakota Joshua, top 6 at practice yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, Dakota has had success at different levels, and obviously a player that's finding his way on a different team, given different opportunities. And, if you given opportunities, you got to take advantage of some of those opportunities. But Dakota, he's always been a good skater. He's been a player that's had that size ability to, disrupt you off, make life uncomfortable for defenders. I think the way I would describe Dakota is he's taken those threads that bind and pulled them tighter together. You would see glimpses of skating. You'd see glimpses of handling the puck. You'd see glimpses of utilizing that size to his advantage. Well, now you see all those things working in concert, and with it comes a confidence, and not only his own confidence, but the coach's confidence in him. I read a line on the weekend, I forget who said it, talking about a player, and the player said that he was reminded when he was younger. He said, "You're only as good as the coach thinks you are."
Yeah,
and you better keep that in mind. Well, Dakota now has shown that, hey, I can do more. Bruce is believing in him and thinking, hey, you can do more. I'm going to give you a chance. And I think a lot of credit goes to Dakota, obviously. But the way I would describe it is just, his game has become just a lot more complete. It's not compartmentalized where you see this and you see this and then you see that and it's never connected. I see all those elements being connected now, and somebody that's playing very successfully.
Yeah, and then I see, Burrows and Dries and Dakota Joshua. Bruce Boudreau loves guys who have spent time in the minors. He loves underdogs. Speaking of which, Craig, as we move on from the Canucks, David Perron, how does he go? This is incredible because you know what it's like. You have minor hockey parents freaking out when their kid's 9 years old and he doesn't make a rep team. But how does he go from playing house hockey at 16 to being a first-round draft pick 2 years later to playing in 1,000 NHL games?
Don, I'm going to answer that in a couple of different ways.
Okay.
The first way I'm going to answer it is I tell players this every day on draft day or after draft day. Everybody goes, I can't believe. On draft day, you got drafted exactly where you should have been drafted. Nobody before you got drafted was ready to select you. And obviously nobody after you could select you because you were selected. So where you got selected is exactly where you should have been, where you deserve to be selected. Don't tell me about, I should have been drafted higher. No, you should have been. Now you can go and prove that you should have been drafted higher. If you were drafted high, you can prove that you deserve to be drafted high. Those are all parts of the proving grounds. I think it's the same thing with David Perron. David Perron was in house league. I don't think coaches are trying to keep good players off their team.
No.
I would say that David Perron probably wasn't good enough. And maybe he wasn't invested enough to be good as he became. And certainly with maturity, we see young people in all walks of life, get turned on, and, their desire and their ambition grows, and then they really apply themselves. Yeah. And I think that happens with a lot of players. And I think also, and that David Perron might have just been at a stage where he wasn't quite good enough. And then in a year's time, he becomes better and everything. I go back in time and I just think of my own experiences. And we played, and I remember our U12 team, the tallest player on the team was our captain at U12. At U16, he was still the captain, and he was a really good player. He was now the shortest player on the team.
Yeah.
So, like at 12, you would have said, oh, this guy is going to be he's a can't miss. He's going to be a heck of a player. At 16, he wasn't anywhere near having pro potential. But I think that happens in a lot. And we see it happen with 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds and 20-year-olds. And, so I think that's the way I would describe David Perron. But David found his way to higher levels and 1,000 games in the NHL, and very successful player in the NHL in different scenarios.
Craig, I love late bloomers. I love undrafted players. I could read stories about them all day long. I just love how they keep going and they don't give up. Lots of rumors here in Vancouver that Bo Horvat, the Canucks, are not going to be able to do that deal. In fact, we learned today that he's rejected an offer lately. You're the GM. What return do you want? What's a reasonable return for Bo Horvat if you're moving him before the deadline, Craig?
Yeah, well, we can go and look at history, right? Think about Mark Stone going to the Vegas Golden Knights, and they end up getting Eric Brandstrom, who at that point in time, was regarded as a real quality prospect. At that time, we can look at other examples where players get traded, and you say, okay, is it a first round draft pick and a prospect? I'm a big believer in quality. I want quality back. That doesn't mean you're going to be right in your assessment. I thought Brandstrom going back for Mark Stone was real good quality for the Ottawa Senators. Yeah, he looks like a bottom pair defenseman, but at the time that he looked like real good quality. So I think that, and Ryan O'Reilly gets traded for Tage Thompson, and a lot of people were like, Tage Thompson, that's all they got for Ryan O'Reilly? Well, you know what? Ryan O'Reilly obviously helped the St. Louis Blues, and Tage Thompson's a superstar in the NHL right now. Yeah. So I always hear this. Oh, they're looking for a first-round draft pick, a prospect, a B prospect, a player off their team. You can ask for whatever you want. I want quality. That's all I know. And you have to put a stake in the ground on what you're ready to get in return. But look for quality. Don't look for quantity. Quantity just ends up just being a whole bunch of pieces. And when you're talking about Bo Horvat, the captain of your team, I'm looking for quality. And then you'll find out in time if that quality was the right ask and the right return. But that's what I'd be looking at for Bo Horvat. 28 years old next summer. He drives a lot of significant play in different areas. All I know is this. I'm the Vancouver Canucks. Teams are phoning about Bo Horvat, as they should be. I'm directing all my scouting efforts. Okay, these are the teams that we think are the 6 most interested teams. I don't care. That's where you're going in scouting. You're scouting their whole system. Yeah, we want to get quality. I'm not spending any time on teams that don't have that aren't interested in making a trade, because this would be a significant transaction for the Vancouver Canucks.
Craig, wanted to ask you about Rathbone and Podkolzin and the minors. Good young kids. They're touching the puck a whole lot more, development, all that. There's rumors that, Rathbone's not happy. I mean, it's, when he was in Vancouver, healthy scratch sitting in the press box. There's rumors, he might ask for a trade. What are your thoughts? When you look at Rathbone in the last few years, all a kid ever wants, Craig, is hope and a pathway to playing for the big league team. Your thoughts on Rathbone?
Well, I like Rathbone, Rick, and I think that he's got some real good qualities that can allow him to be a real good, solid NHL defenseman, not a star defenseman, but an NHL defenseman. And you nailed it. players want to know that they have an opportunity, and it's not so much about playing in Abbotsford or not being in the NHL. It's about, do I have a realistic path to get to the NHL? Is there a place here in this organization? And organizations look at players and go, well, you know what, it's not the right time. Players looking at it and go, well, wait a sec, your defense isn't very good. I think I could help, right? And so you're trying to work through that friction, and I call it a healthy friction at times. But with a player like Jack Rathbone, with a player like Vasily Podkolzin, I think that you have to really be with them, like on a daily basis, trying to help them understand that we're here to work with you. Because what players don't want to see, Rick, is this kind of a passing interest. Oh, you're there, just go and play. That's not going to work. You gotta get really fully invested. I'm not just saying in a couple players, but you want to be there and you want to be worked so that they're going, okay, they are trying to help me there. Because once players start to feel that you're not trying to help them get there, that's a bigger problem.
Yep.
Okay, one more, Craig, quickly. Team Canada. Identification camp, selection camp going on. We talk a lot, of course, especially in this part of the world, about Connor Bedard. But what can you tell me about a player who is projected to go number 2 by a lot of people at the draft next year, Adam Fantilli of the University of Michigan?
Hard driving player, like high-end skill, and just a motor that revs at high RPMs. I mean, he drives the net, he drives the scoring area. He loves the score. He's hungry for the puck. He's like a dog on the bone. And you take those qualities of size and skill, and then the determination that he possesses. You're getting a real top-notch player. I think that he'll play left wing at the World Junior. He's a centerman. That's what he is. We see lots of players play out of position at international competitions, especially for Team Canada. But that's the type of player I see him as. And, I will say this too, and we'll have opportunity to talk a little bit more in the weeks to come. But on December 31st, Canada's playing Sweden. In my view, the best 3 players in the NHL draft will be playing in that game. That's Bedard, Fantilli, and Leo Carlsson with Sweden. I can't think of a time, I've gone back, I have never seen that at a World Junior tournament.
Craig, we'll talk to you next week. All the best. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.